All right, so good evening, and I think it's about time for us to start. We had a brief discussion the other time we met, and we did talk about the framework that we're going to use to deal with these topics, and I think we went through all. But what I'm going to do now is to give you a recap of our goals and expectations. And we said that the first one was to understand the core basics of management. And we'll be doing a couple of that today. And we set expectations and goals and delegate effectively. Be a business shelled with the required business and financial literacy. The fourth one is to develop the next manager, motivate and promote performance. And that we have communicate corporate messages in an effective way using marketing strategies, and then understand the fundamentals of HR, talent interviewing, recruitment, orientation, and retention. And then we have applied best practices in project management, manage effectively various personalities and office politics, excellent communication skills and manage conversation effectively, critical thinker, problem solver, and resilient, and then be effective in resolving conflict, and then also be ethical. So these are the things that we need to address ourselves with. So what we're going to do is this. You, the student, will have to take these points one by one. I think that the organizers are going to do the same. We have to measure what we've been able to achieve here. We need to know, I mean, we have our own performance metrics. I'll design something in that respect that we are going to measure, that if we've been able to hit these goals and objectives, it's important we do that so that it wouldn't be this normal talk and then that's it. We should be able to measure if these objectives have been, we've been able to achieve them, and also to rehash the requirement. You pass your certification examination. To pass, what you do is you have to answer 100 multiple choice questions, which is why I am insisting that the following Sundays, we are going to do a kind of a quiz just to keep ourselves abreast with what we are doing. I know most of you, because of the work related issues, you might end up not really, sometimes putting this thing aside and then concentrating on other things and later to come to write the exam. That is very dangerous. So more importantly, what we'll do is to keep you very on your toes with some of these quizzes. So 100 multiple choice questions, that's the final exams, must be finished in 2 hours. And that's why I'm going to give you more questions as tests. If you're able to answer more, that is it. But the system, I'll do it in a way that after the time that I've allocated or allotted to you guys, when it ends, the Google Forms will terminate. So you wouldn't have an opportunity to do that. And then pass mark is 60 marks. And then cost of, and then the cost which we have already talked about it. So the first outline is the principles of management. So today we are going to look at planning. We are going to look at organizing, leading, controlling, and decisiveness and decision making, and then we will look at innovation and change. I mean, just to let you know, this is not too deep, but what I have done is to embellish it with some of these resources that will make beyond passing the exams, you also get some sort of value. This is what I took from the group the last time we met. Student expectations, maybe I should put it as a colleague's expectation, not student, because you are not student. Let me change that. Let me do that colleagues expectation, because you are not students. Do you agree with me?
I don't agree. I don't agree because in this context we are students.
Really? I don't see you as students because we are going to share ideas. I'm only leading as a facilitator.
Okay.
So today we've moved from teacher-student relationship, but rather we are partners. So I see you as colleagues. So the expectations were that some of you said that wanted to add value, which is very critical, right? So you should leave here with value addition. You should leave here as a better person than when you put yourself on the scale. You should see that you have been able to go progress. Okay, there's some value addition. You've acquired some sort of knowledge. Others said that they want additional knowledge. Okay, probably in this context, they want to grasp more knowledge. They know they have some knowledge, but they want additional knowledge. Maybe there are new trends in this management course that they are yet to know, so they want to know what is there. Others also say acquire additional skills in management. So now the skill set is what we are looking at. And building skill set means that we're able to use some tools to achieve that. So we're going to see to what extent these skill sets can be drawn from our courses so that we will have these skills, if it's communication skills, if it is skills of innovation, critical thinking, we're able to do that. Others also said that skills to manage, specifically to manage, skills to manage. And management is a tough kind of thing. And it's good that as you go up the ladder, you make sure that you acquire some of these skills. So this is the request of the team. And others still said that they want to manage people and resources, So we are having wahala in this country because we don't be able to manage our economy very well. So it's our income and expenditure, right? So how do we manage the people we have in addition to the resource we have as a country to be able to make gains? Others have been able to do that. Maybe we have not been able to do that. And that's not related to the current government. It's been, through successive government, even across Africa, you see we having a lot of resources, but we are not putting it into good use. I have contested that the greatest resource we have is the brain. It's not the other natural resources, but the brain, because it's important to know that whatever we've been able to create as human beings came from the brain. So if we manage it very well, we should be able to do a lot. And then the last one is to acquire the CMP, Certified Management Professional Certificate, okay, to get it, okay. So that's, what I took from the points that the other time I took from you guys, okay. So, and then I have a constellation of some of the things that I wrote down. Please, if you don't see yours, let me know. I had biostatistician, I had football club, I had NIB, Mampong, regional advisor, police inspector, junior assistant register, poultry farming, Winneba, sales, masters, innovation, maintenance, oil and gas, Sudan, soya beans, service industry, hospital, head of procurement. I had bank, administrator, assistant, general manager, regional advisor, graphic corporation, HND mechanical, agro processing, MBA in business administration. I had transport, masters in international management, proprietary of school, environmentalist, rubber factory, potato processing, Anglo Gold, Ashanti. Do we see this? Does this mirror the kind of team we have here? Do you see yourself in this? I need a response.
Yeah.
To it. Do you see yourself? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Do you?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. So, okay, so once you see yourself, then that is fine. So we are going to work within this context and then make sure examples that are cited reflect what we are doing so that we'll be more, it's more useful to you. So the first the first model talks about fundamentals of management. Now, a number of definitions have emerged over the period about what management is. Some have said that the process of planning, organizing, leading, controlling, and a lot of, factors geared towards achieving the organizational objective. But there's a famous definition of management by Duca, who says that management is getting things done through other people. Getting things done through other people. And in fact, others have extended it to mean that getting things done through other people through the use of scarce resources. Now, we manage because resources are scarce. If resources are abundant, and then we can always have it, then I believe that there will not be need to manage, because we are managing resources, i.e. human resource, we are managing material resource, we are managing also other resources that are to capital resources, machinery, and other, and then financial resources. So we are managing all this. So if resources are not scarce, then there will not be need for management. So we are managing because resources are scarce, and we don't want to be wasteful. We want to be very effective. So this guy says that you get things done through other people. All right. You get things done through other people through the use of what? Scarce resource. And management has been seen as an art for a very long time. In those days where we have people like W.F. Taylor, he saw management as a science anyway. But you have these top-notch guys who thought that it was more of an art rather than a science. And when we say management is a science, it means that we've taken it to the lab to test it. In other words, over the period, that art of management has been tested, has been hypothesized over time, and we've been able to establish certain relationships. So over the period, we've known that, okay, management, we can use some method to achieve a certain goal. So that is the science aspect of it. All right. And it has been an art. It's a kind of a design or a way that you can use to achieve something, not necessarily being scientific. So it has been an art, and it has also been what? A science. When we say an art, look at how the artisans, they craft whatever they do. All right, that is the art aspect of it. But scientific aspect of management means that we have been able to establish a certain model, and that model has been tested over time, and it has been implemented, it has been accepted generally, and that becomes the science aspect of it. And that's why you have the Taylor, F.W. Taylor, who looks at management as a science. Okay, he thinks that people should look at management from that. Human beings should be considered as machines, and they should work based on certain instructions and all that. Now, so we need managers, I mean, in all levels of organization. We need them because they manage the resources of the company. And in most organizations, you have heads of departments, those who head projects, they need this management skills. And they decide to set the goals and direct the activities of the organization. So you can be at the corporate head as a manager. And you know, there are levels in most organizations. You have where I used to work at GPHA, we have the Cat 1, that is the CEO, Cat 1A, and the Cat 1B. That is the Cat 1A is the Director General, Cat 1B is the port directors, and then you have the Cat 2, that is the general managers, and then you have the Cat 3, that becomes the other level managers below the Cat 2. So the executive managers are the Cat 1 and then the Cat 2. And then you bring the Cat 3 in, that are actually the departmental managers. And then you have the Cat 4, that is the sectional managers. Then now you come to the Cat 5, that are more of a supervisors, but they also manage some sort of team. And then you come to cat 6, and then cat 7, cat 8 in that order. So we need that kind of education of all these levels of management to be able to achieve the organizational goal. A number of classifications have gone on with respect to the level of management. You have the line managers that they focus on most of the time the business processes. All right. And if you are producing a product or service, they deal specifically, with that. And then you have the staff managers that focus on the human resource. They support the human resources directly or indirectly to achieve whatever product or services we have to work with. So if you are working in an organization and your managerial role has to do with people, all right, you manage people, then you are more of not a line manager, but a staff manager. But if you are at the production floor, and like our friends who are into poultry and those who are into agribusiness, where he's a manager where he is, but he has to make sure that he gets the facilitator for the staff to work. Okay, he is dealing with process rather than the one who is on the same level with who sits at the office and managing the staff, make sure they go on leave when the time is due, get their PPEs ready, and also make sure that they are paid, yes, they get their salaries and all that. So there's this, they might be on the same level, but one is dealing with what the process and the other one is dealing with what the staff and support is. So no matter the classification, you should know that each person's role is very, very important, and you need to make sure that those people have these skills to be able to execute their objective. And it's very important that I'm excited that you guys decided to take this course. Not only, most of you were talking about adding value, because if as a country we've not been able to manage the economy well, it will reflect in whatever we do. Okay, also as citizens. So it's important we get these skills so that we can manage our businesses very well and very effectively. And there's a quotation here which you also see in your text. It said, management is not about telling people what to do. It is coordinating and organizing the team based on policies, okay, goals and objectives of the organization. So you don't tell people what to do, but what you do is you coordinate the activities and then you organize them, okay? And then these organizations and all that are based on policies, but the policies are coming from actually the vision and the mission of the organization that has been trickled down into policies. Most people don't know that policies come from the strategic, the corporate strategic vision and mission, because that's where we drill the policies. From the vision, you get a mission from there's a school of thought that believe that the vision defines the mission, or vision defines vision. That's a different matter for discussion. When you are dealing with governmental institutions where their mandate is based on parliamentary act, okay, then it means that they have a mission. So they design the vision. So this one, the mission defines the vision. But if you are working as an organization, as your companies, then of course your vision would define what the mission. Okay, so that's how it works out. So if you are within that organization that have those vision and mission, you realize that the vision is there, the mission, comes out, and then you come to your objectives. Some people come to goals or before objectives, and their objectives are then, cascaded into operational strategies. And operational strategies are the projects, and then also the policies that the organization are going to use to achieve the vision and then the vision. So those policies are the policies we are talking about here. And those policies should align very well so that they can achieve the objectives of the organization. So what we are saying here is that you don't tell people what to do, okay, but you coordinate and you organize the activities based on the policies of the organization. And as there's a saying here, it's an effective manager as an effective manager, you have to learn the art and the science of management, how to plan, organize, lead, and control, and how to improve the competitive advantage of your organization, and how to innovate and change towards sustainable growth and prosperous future. This is huge. Let's take it one by one. So you have to learn the art and science we've talked about, but how to organize, we are going to talk about the organization. Lead, how to lead, okay? How to control, how to improve the competitive advantage of your organization. That's where my focus is. The competitive advantage of your organization. How will your organization survive in the market? In the next 5 years, where do you see your organization? As a manager, in the next 5 years, how do you see your organization? Are you going to win some market shares, or you are going to dip? And that is the work of the manager. So it goes beyond you knowing just that you are going to plan, organizing, and all that. But when you combine that model, how are you able to use that, okay, as a strategy to beat your competitors? How are you able to do that? That is very, very important. And then it talks about how are you able to innovate, because organizations that innovate are those who lead the market. We are living in a turbulent environment where the environment is very turbulent to the extent that today customers say they want this, tomorrow they say they don't want it. They are surveyed. Their taste and preferences keep changing. So how do you match that? And it means that you have to innovate. It means that you have to change, okay? So they are saying that an effective manager is the one that learns the art and science of what management, in addition to the planning, organizing, controlling, and leading, and all that. But making sure that that tool is used to improve the competitive advantage of the organization, okay? And also that manager consciously and continuously innovate and change towards sustainable growth. Remember, if you beat the market, like MTN has a bigger market share in the telecommunication industry, they are the top. What is very dangerous is to get to the top. Why is it dangerous? Because when you get to the top, then the next thing is to sustain yourself. It is not easy. It is sometimes easy getting the top to the top, but when you get the sustainability becomes what a big problem. And that's why the subject of sustainability has been something that has been emerging over the period. So that is who an effective manager is. There's this term about effectiveness and efficiency. All right, effectiveness and efficiency. One is getting things done right, and the other one is doing the right thing. But more significantly related to this topic or this course. Now, effectiveness and efficient management has been defined this way. It's an effective management, and then we have the other side, efficient management. One says that the effective management develops strategies to reach goals. All right, they develop strategies to hit what goals or to reach goals. And then efficiency strives to keep the present system running well. So a very simple analogy or example for you to know the difference between efficiency and effectiveness is this. Anytime they talk about efficiency, concentrate on the process. Effectiveness talks about the outcome. All right. Efficiency is to process, whilst effectiveness is to what? The outcome. And that's why the first point is saying that develop strategies to reach the goal. All right. And this one strives to keep the present system working well, the system, the processes. Now, it uses job description or descripts to define how work is done. And then this one adheres strictly to job requirements. Again, for efficiency, goals, effectiveness, goals are based on what? Priorities. Now, effectiveness, goals are based on priorities. And then efficiency, they avoid what? Change, because we are focusing on what we've been asked to do, requirement, processes. Now, effectiveness predict and adapt to change. Efficiency doesn't. Effectiveness consistently evaluate and look for ways to improve current methods. But effectiveness does that, but efficiency monitors work and procedures. It monitors works and procedures. Please, this model, as a lecturer, I know there'll be a question on it. So you notice someone, and I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. So consistently evaluate and look for ways to improve current methods. And then this one, that is efficiency, avoids, monitors work and procedures. Now, effectiveness is task oriented. And then efficiency is work oriented. Let me go through again. So with efficiency, effectiveness, you develop strategies to reach goals. You use job descriptions to define, or description to define how work is done. Goals are based on priorities, predicts and adapts to change, consistently evaluate and look for ways to improve current methods, and is task work oriented. For efficiency, it strives to keep the present system running well, adheres strictly to job requirements, avoids change, and monitors work and procedures. And then overall, it is work oriented. So that's the distinction between the two. Now, definitely managers have to work with some of these things. They have to work with senior managers, senior executives and superiors in organization. They have to work with employees and stakeholders. And it is important that we know, the distinctions between this, because most times at the top level, they are looking at the broad objective or the broad vision in trying to hit that. So that has been established for the organization to achieve. But the processes and procedures we need to go through to achieve that, we need to make sure that we work within the requirements that we've been given for us to be efficient. And so, like I said, efficiency is towards the process and the effectiveness is toward outcome. Another example, you can decide, and one of our presidents said this one time, you can decide to use a bulldozer to kill a mosquito. Now, you've been very effective because the mosquito has been killed, but you have not been efficient. Why? Because you didn't need a bulldozer to kill a mosquito. You have wasted resources. Does it make sense? So efficiency looks at using the limited resource you have to achieve organizational objectives. The limitation with efficiency is that it is process focused to the extent that you might even end up not hitting your target. So in most of your organizations, you realize that you are cutting down over time. You are doing this, but what you want people to do is to make sure that they get the work done, and you inadvertently end up not achieving producing a poor quality product because you are fixated on the process. Okay, but with effectiveness, you are fixated on the outcome. You want to get a goal, but the limitation with that is also that you might end up using more resources which you needn't use. So you'll be wasting the resources. And that is why we are saying that be effective. But whilst being effective, try as much as possible to be what? Efficient. All right. So that is very, very, important. I don't know whether I'm making sense. Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it going well? Are you getting the points that I'm raising?
Yes, please.
So far, yes.
Okay, so this is the model, the planning model that we're going to use. That was designed, not the planning model, the principle of management model, the POLC, by Carpenter, Boa, and then Edengan, who defined this thing as a framework. I told you management has become a science. And once is science, what it means is that it's made up of what some sort of methods or systems that you can follow to achieve the objective, and which is very, very important. So this is the model, and the model comes with planning, organizing, leadership, and control, and that represents what the POLC. They could ask a question on that. All right, so take note of that. So we are saying that this comprises of the 4 key functions of management, which are the planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Okay, so that's what this is. Now, to start with planning, I want to, leverage on this quote. This is Osensei Ushiba. And this guy is in fact, Kung Fu master. And you know, in the arena of Kung Fu, they have the white belt, they have the green belt, and all that. In fact, in Six Sigma, the kind of rankings they have is based on belts. Okay, you become a master black belt, it means you've hit the apex. And this is a Kung Fu master. And if you've watched Chinese film before, a Kung Fu master is someone that has never been beaten. If he would die maybe by accident or something. But this is what he says, and I relate this with planning. He says that those who are skilled in combat do not become angered. Those who are skilled in combat do not become angered. Those who are skilled at winning do not become afraid. Thus, the wise win before the fight, while the ignorant fight to win. So if you are planning, you should know from where you are planning from, where you are starting, that you are going to be successful. You should know. You should know. Because the wise will win before the fight. And it always should be so. The reason why we suffer in business most times is that the vision that should take us to the end for us to begin, and then use processes to achieve that, most time we are even not aware, we don't have a cue, even though we have a vision. The vision is just some sort of caricature or something that is there, okay? But we are not seeing through the vision. A manager is the one who is able to see through the vision and know, and with that some level of certainty that we are going to win. And that's what this guy does. Okay, he knows. And look at the picture. The guy is disciplining the young guy, but even not even watching his direction, because he knows it. That skill set is there, and he is able to use it. A manager should be able to know the strength of his or her competitors and be able to take them out of the game, because this manager is always scanning the environment. So in planning, we say we develop the vision and the mission, and we are going to look at how to do that. And we develop goals and objectives. And the third level is to develop strategic, tactical, and operational plans. So it is in like a pyramid form. At the top, you have the vision and the mission. The vision is very thin. It is cascaded to the mission. It is further cascaded to what? The development of goals and objectives. Some people don't develop goals. They go straight to objective. It depends on what you want to do. But goals are actually the qualitative aspect of what the objectives, okay? And then now they come to strategies, projects, and that goes into the tactical aspect. And the tactical aspect has to do with, the short to medium term plans, and then that dovetails into what the operational aspect. That is the day-to-day activities that we should do to align with what, or that should lead to the tactical plan. And from the tactical plan, we go to what the more of what the objective. The objective leads to the goals. The goals leads to what the mission, and the mission leads to what the vision. In that manner. So here he said, what we do today, and the strategy is how we go from today to the future, and the vision is what we aim to be in the future. And this comes some simple model, but I want to take you deep into this and probably look at vision, right, from the perspective of how the eagle sees. I mean, research has shown that this eagle at the top sees some 1,000 kilometers. I mean, when the eagle flies, it's able to see. So look at vision in this way, that where are we going? Where are we going? Please, this part is for, it's not for exams. It is for, I mean, skill development. So I'm drawing your attention to what I'm doing now is for, not for, this one is for the exams, but this one is not for the, this is value addition. Okay. So where are we going? That's the first question you would need to ask yourself. And the second question is, why should we go there? Why? Why should we go there? So those who are having your companies, you should go and ask yourself, write these things down. Ask yourself these questions. Why are we going there? Then the other question is that what is winning in this environment, in your environment, your competitive environment? What do we call winning? When do we determine that somebody has won something? Is it because he has taken maybe 50+1% of the market share, or there's visibility of that person's product? All right. Or maybe he's winning awards. What is winning? Or he's making super profits. What is winning? And then I ask a question. If success is a place, how do you know that you got there? And that goes back to the quote I gave to you, that the wise wins before the fight. If success is a place, how do you know you've got there? You need to ask yourself these questions. This could not be even a company that you own, but as a manager, if you are setting targets for yourself, your vision, maybe in the next 2 years, you want to be the top manager, or the next 5 years. So you're building capacity towards that. With all the other things, politics and all that, you have a strategy. So the question is, what is winning? What kind of skill set do you need to get there? And the other question, where do you want to be at some point in the future? That's what vision talks about. And we have a number of ways to create vision. And I'm saying that this is value addition. So in creating vision, you should be able to see or imagine how the future will look like. Imagination here is very, very important. You should be able to do that. All right. How would the future be like? And that imagination, when we get to the critical thinking aspect, we are going to bloat it and then see what your operations will be like. How would the company, you need to imagine that the company I've started, the guy who is doing the agro business, the other guy who is also an environmentalist, we have the pastor, the guy managing the football company, my good friend David, who is the head of procurement and now managing also transport department in addition, my friend in Sudan, okay, Patrika Esuman, and my Seydu Muhammad, the great guy. Who else? I have Samuel Ahin, the guy in KNUST, and then you also have Winnie, the pastor, okay, and then Pell, the administrator, and a number of them. So you ask yourself, how do you see the future? And this thing is very, very important. Okay, I was around 11 years Then I imagine to be a professor. I'm 2 years to that vision. That's how I saw myself. Not because I wanted that for money. I thought that when you become a professor, you get money. But in terms of status, I just wanted to achieve that. All right. Of course, you can make your money without becoming a professor. So you need to imagine yourself, imagine that has happened. Sometimes you can even create some sort of image for yourself and put it where you are. You want to be, the head of your organization. So how do you get there? It says, see what your operations will be like if you achieve success. So your own company, if you achieve success, how would it be? How would a poultry farm be? How would a football, club be like? Okay. Are you going to have the top players? All right. How will be your organization if you want to be the CEO? How would it be like? Okay. And then the other question is that see what your clients will also be like, your customers. And then what you need to do is that it said, picture this in vivid details, vivid details, because it will help you to bring concreteness and realness in the vision you are creating. So if you begin to think this way, not because you want very catchy words to formulate your vision, but actually this is what you want to do. If you capture it in that detail, it will bring that concreteness and realness in the vision. You see that this is real. And we also consider the impact of your vision in internal and external for stakeholders. Would they welcome that vision? Your internal stakeholders are the workers that you are working with, okay? And the staffs that you are working with. The external, your customers, all right? The regulatory bodies, the government, they are the external accreditors. They are your external stakeholders. What would they say? So that is going to guide you to craft a very good vision. And let me just show you an example of some companies and their vision. And these things, they go through serious workshops, and then they allow people the opportunity to dream so that they come together to do. It's a very tedious exercise. And some of us just go online and just pick someone's vision, and then we say we just modify it and we use it for our company without going through this exercise to know what really we want to do. So this is the vision. MTN is our vision is to lead and deliver. Our vision is to lead the delivery of a bold new digital world to our customers. The day I saw this, I said, this is deep. A bold new digital world to our customers. That's what they want to do. Look at Amazon. Amazon says that our vision is to, someone should read Amazon for me. I need one student to do that. Amazon, Pearl, okay, go ahead.
Our vision is to be the most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want and buy online.
Can you imagine this? Can you imagine? Anything they might want to buy. That is their vision. Amazon has more than 1 million products online. That's what they want to become. So when we want to develop vision, it should come from you. It should come from the corporate management. If it's your business, it should come from you. And it's not one-time exercise. And vision change over time because the dynamics of the market might change. And once it changes, you need to align. All right. Then the next thing is the mission. Vision talks about why And vision talks about what? So you want to be the leading, like the first one, I want to be, Emirates says that to make civil aviation safe, leading and sustainable. That's what Emirates is saying. So anytime you pick their flight, that's what you have in mind. This is what they want to do, leading and sustainable. That's what they want to do. That's fine. But the question is, how do they get there? Then it talks about what will they do today to be able to get to that destination. So the what now talks about the vision. So the question is, the what talks about the mission. So what do you do today? That is the what of the mission to achieve the why, which is what? The vision. So it's asking you a question, what are we doing? What do we do to become that leading company? And he said, how are we doing it? And how do we get there? And the last one is, who are we doing it for? Very strong. Target customers. Who are we doing it for? Who are we doing this for? That's very important. Who? Who are our target customers? Who are they? And what makes us different? Why will you think that a customer will come to you rather than a different company? That is very, very important. Okay. When we're coming out with, the organizers contacted me to handle this course. I think they might have contacted a number of people. I was there when they called me. And so when he had the discussion, he said that, no, there are some guys in this school who told us that they have to talk to you. But what makes Dr. Boison so different? That is very important. I should be able to say that. What makes me different? And that is very key. Why would they come for you but not any other person? It's very important. So there's a distinguishing factor that separates you from the other people. And that distinguishing factor are the skill sets, your manpower, your products, the way you have positioned it, the quality, the competence that you have, that sets you apart from the other people. So if you want to be the leading producer of something, maybe mineral water, what are we doing with it? So let's start. What are we doing? Maybe mineral water. How are we doing it? Now it comes to the expertise, the technology, the human resource that we need, right? Then he said, how do we get there? How do we get there? Having gotten the human resource, how do we get there? Is it going to take us 2-3 years to get that brand? The last one is who? Who are we doing it for? A number of us start business, and in our mind, we sit at one place, and then we're able to finish the business. That I see this guy, let me give you an example. One guy said that he has heard that pork meat is now selling. People like, and health-wise, doctors have said that that kind of meat is good. I don't know, I have not researched it. So he just came to me and told me that, Doc, I hear this business is doing well. Please, I want to get into it, but can you, if I can get, like, say, some 3,000 Ghana cedis to start this business? I say, 3,000 Ghana cedi in dollars, how much are we looking at? We divide, what's the dollar rate now?
8.
Eight. So that will be how much? Okay, so about 375, right? So 375 pork meat business and at various joints. So when he says that, he said that, and I said, okay, that's fine. So what do you want me? He said, I need this loan to start this business. I said, okay. Do you have customers that you have targeted? He said, oh, but I went to Sakumono. I was there, I've been there like 3 times. And I've been counting the number of people who have been coming to this guy. And when I did my research, I realized that he buys 2 pounds, right? And then he buys the oil and the other spices and all that. And also he taps light from somewhere. So plus or minus, he did his estimate that the guy put in, let's say, 1,000 Ghana cedi. The 2 pounds at that time was going to cost like 400 Ghana. And then the oil and everything and the additive, 100 Ghana. Okay, that could be like some dollars, maybe $50 or so. And then plus or minus, he was able to look at this very well and realize that the guy was making like 40% profit. In other words, if he puts in $375, 40% of it is going to be $150, I mean, one night. And that's quite, look at the wage bill. So when he said that, I said, that's fine. But where are the customers? He said, they are there. I said, where? Then I said, okay, no problem. Go and look at the population census. The last time was 2010. Go and look at it. That's your source document. And then go to look at Sakumonon and then go to demography and then look at religion. You know why? Because Muslims do not take pork. And when he went, looked at it and came to me, said, Dr. Boison, thank you, you saved me. So well, there was the predominance of Muslims in that area. Even the area I was going to put my setup, there were more Muslims there. Then I told him, so you think that people, when they are doing strategy, they just benchmark, see what someone is doing. That's why most businesses fail. They see what someone is doing and then they just copy and paste without doing an assessment to know what is really happening. And some of us are here where we see someone, oh, there's a guy told me that when he got his PhD, another guy just called him and said, oh, where did you get your PhD? I mean, how much is it? And the guy wants to start his PhD. There's no motivation. It is just that someone has gotten it, so he just wants to get it. But there should be a roadmap. Do you get it? You should know what you want it for. Because when you go into it that way, you're going to have a problem. So some of the mission statements, I said mission is what? So MTN, when they said they want to be the most digital something, their mission is that they said our purpose is to make our customers' lives a whole lot brighter. So that is what they would do to achieve this one. Our vision is to lead the delivery of bold new digital world to our customers. To achieve this, what they would do is to make their customers' lives a whole lot brighter. Does it make sense? Am I making sense? So how, what is able to answer what, the why? Does it make sense? Are we there?
Yes, sir. Makes sense.
Yes, Doc, we are here.
Two
Yes,
things are happening. The way the platform is quiet. Am I throwing some bombs?
No, we are here.
Not at all. We are here.
They are causing our minds to undergo reformation.
All right. So
We are listening carefully.
So Now, most times before you set your vision and mission, you need to do your SWOT analysis. And SWOT stands for what? Strength, weakness, opportunities, and what? Threats. All right. The strength and weakness are within the organization. The strengths are those things that are helpful to the organization. And those gains, those special competencies, things that you have within, your ambit, within your own area that you have control on. In fact, what you can use to distinguish yourself from others. That is your strength. The strength, you have control. And the weakness is also within your own environment, which is actually having a toll on you. Maybe you have financial challenge, okay? Or you have challenge with your skill set or your product brand. That becomes your weakness. And then you have your opportunities that has to deal with what the external environment presents to you in terms of opportunities because of the way probably you have positioned yourself. Okay, if you get yourself into a business and government is saying the government is saying that there's a World Bank loan, okay, that is being allocated for those in the agri sector with no interest, okay, and once you are in the agri sector, you have the opportunity to apply for $1 million loan to do it. That becomes an opportunity for you because it is the environment that presented. If government says that it's going to cut taxes for those in the agri sector, is because that presents an opportunity for you. Okay. It could be the fact that there are availability of raw materials that you didn't do anything about. The raw materials that you use in producing your product and services. They are just there. It's an opportunity. Okay. But the threat is also what the environment does to your business without you having control. And the same government that is saying that it's reducing taxes for those in that agri sector is saying that it's increasing the corporate tax. Okay, it's saying that, okay, the loans for the subsidies for those in agri sector, we are actually removing it. That becomes a threat. You don't have control of it. Okay, so an example of it is this. So you have strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. This, you have it in your notes, okay? It's there. I'm just explaining for you to get it. So it said things your company do well in, qualities that separates your company from the competitors, all right? And it could be internal resources such as skilled, knowledgeable staff. It could be technology that you are leveraging on, okay? That others do not have that leverage. And it could be tangible assets such as intellectual property. It could be your capital base. You have huge capital. Okay, you have the resources to do. Okay, and it could be proprietary or technology, like I said, that becomes what your strength. So you need to be able to, when we go home, already you are home, so you're on Zoom. When you settle, you need to write down those things that are your strength. Those are within your and most times when we tell managers that they should be able to change their environment, they say, oh, wait, this before you send anything, they don't accept, they will not approve. But I ask them, but things within your own, like simple things within your organization, which you wouldn't need the approval of the top management, you can do. You can do without them. All right. Like restructuring your internal process, like offering some training and other things that you have the competence to train. You can do that yourself. And the weaknesses are things that your company lacks, things that your competitors do better than you. Is the reverse. Resource limitation is one. Unclear selling proposition. Okay. When your product, it's facing some stern competition and there's nothing you can do about it. That becomes what your weakness. And the opportunities, as I said, is unserved markets. If there's a huge market there for your product that has not been served, you didn't do anything about it. People want that product and you happen to be there, okay? And that could give you that leverage. So you take advantage of it. Okay, when it begins to rain, people take advantage and they start selling what umbrellas. Okay, when there's a shortage of something, people just they fix in there and then they address those concerns. When COVID hit the whole world, other people made money. In fact, if there's an economic any recession, okay, in the world, it doesn't really mean that the world is suffering. It means that money have moved or the competition have moved from the major players of the industry into other industries. Let me give you a typical example. We are on Zoom. The money that Zoom makes in 10 years, when COVID happened, they were making that money in a month. Can you imagine? Because everybody was online. And this has stripped all of us to play. We have realized that it is convenience to do this. Somebody is from Sudan and on this platform. He couldn't have come here. See the cost of flights to this place. With just data, the person is connected. It's an opportunity. Okay. Few competitors in your area is an opportunity. Emerging needs for your products and services is an opportunity. Sometimes you also have press and media coverage of your company. Maybe they would want to, they want news and they see that you are doing well. So they put you in there. The threat could be that they say something bad about you. Okay. So if you have more competitors in your environment, if government keeps changing regulation and other things, if you have negative press and media, bash at you, then that becomes an issue. And changing customer towards your company, when customers are able to shift, from your product, maybe due to the fact that it's expensive or there's something that other competitors are doing that you are not doing, then that becomes what a threat to you. And what you need to do is that before coming out with a vision and mission, this environmental assessment has to be done. And the SWOT has to be done first. There is another one that you can do. That is the external. We have talked about the opportunities and threats. The opportunities and threats. That one is within this context. So now you can look at the opportunities and threats within the PESTEL model, the political, economic, social, technological, and environmental, and legal. You are looking at it within the what? The threats. Okay? The threat. You can do that with opportunities and threats, okay? Because something political can be to your advantage or not. And once it's an external thing, you can do a kind of a metrics with it, right? And that can help you. I do this most of the time. So you're looking at the external environment now exclusively, okay? And you are looking at, you can decide to look at the opportunities and threats, or use this thing as a model, the PESTEL, to look at it in its entirety. So when you come to politics, when there are change, governments are changing, you know what happens in this country. Other countries, same thing happens. When there's a change of government, what happens? Companies emerges when new government come to power, and others also fizzle out when the government, they lose power. Okay, so the political parts, you have to look at it very carefully. Most of you say, I don't do politics. But if you don't do politics, then it means that you don't do business. That's what it means. If you don't do politics, then you don't do business. Because once there's government and there are regulations and all that, it means that you are within the political arena. So most companies around across the globe have made the parties that are normally come to power, they've made them to understand that I don't belong to any of you. And anytime you are going for campaign, I'm going to split and give your share to support your party. When you come to power, allow me to do my job. And some of us don't do this. And we blindly go and follow one company, one political party. And then when there's a change of government, they collapse our business. Okay, and this politics thing is a global issue. When Trump President Trump came to power, there were other companies that also did well. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook never had any bash because they knew that these are people that the entire country is helping, to make sure they create more jobs. Okay, they didn't do that. And he hasn't taken sides, because if you do, you're going to have a problem. So government policy is one, political instability and instability or instability overseas. There's also the international politics that can affect your business. That's very, very important. If you are producing a particular product here, and then, for instance, this IMF arrangement, and then it comes with some conditions that, okay, we have to import poultry product from the US or some other European countries of a certain margin to this country, and then you are into the poultry business. What it means is that governments, unintentionally will end up collapsing your business. It's not they are making, they stick their neck out somewhere, and they wouldn't know what to do with it. And that's going to, and you need to sit and then know this. And that's why, as a businessman, you don't look at just your environment, because the other neighboring countries, whatever is happening there is also having a toll. If on us, if you are producing a particular product, you need to check from Ghana Statistical Service who is importing that particular product to this country, and what is the price differential. You need to know, so you know how to pitch yourself. If it's a service, are there foreign people offering that services in Ghana, or even online, because people can procure online service and it could take you out of the game. So you need to know that. And then you are looking at tax policy, foreign trade policies, tax policies, labor laws, tourism and military consideration, environmental laws. You are looking at trade restriction, fiscal policies. You are looking at all as a political barrier. When you come to economic, you are looking at the economic growth of the country, the GDP, another the interest rate at the bank, exchange rates. You're looking at inflation. Our inflation is hitting like 30%, and disposable income of consumers. If workers are not being paid more, the purchasing power will come down. So you want to ask yourself, if workers are being paid, how are they being paid? We hear there's a 15% rise in pay. Is it really going to empower them to purchase more? There's global unrest, strike all over UK, US, and labor unions want to go on strike because they think they are being cheated. Now, when these things happen, it lowers their purchasing power, because their disposable income is less. So they are even not able to save. So if their disposable income is less, the question is that, what would the person buy? Okay, what would that person buy? Would the person buy something for survival, or would want to be buying shoes and nice clothes? So you know which product to produce. That is very, very important. People will now not be moving from wants to real needs because of this global issue. But also, if you are targeting a certain market who are not at that middle income people, then you can still, hit what you want to hit. We are not targeting those, of course, who are earning maybe $1,000 and below, but you are targeting people who are earning less than $5,000 and above. So for them, they have the purchasing power. Okay, you want to also look at that. And then taxation, interstate taxes, wage rate, financial capabilities. You want to look at these things. And then when you come to the social aspect, you are looking at the population growth as well. You are looking at age distribution. You are looking at health. Social interventions, free SHS1, health consciousness, career attitude, customers buying trends. You want to know the demographics, the age. We also want to look at culture, norms, personal values. You want to look at these things. How do they shape, or become a threat to you? For instance, if you are marketing a product and you want it to be at the UAE, you better don't put a half-naked lady on it. It won't sell. You better don't use the color red. It won't sell. Okay. So you need to be very careful. And there's something called self-reference criteria in what? Marketing. Okay. So that when you are getting into a new market, you make sure that you don't take what you have, you don't import your values there. When you look at their values, their culture, and their life. I remember one time I went to Dubai, and we had a story of a pastor who said that, hey, for him, Dubai, Sunday is a working day. He doesn't care. That's where he's going to do his church. The first day he had some 3 members with his wife that came. The second week, it was him alone. No one came because it's a working day. They all left to work. Because if you don't go, you are fired. Now the guy was forced now to worship on Friday and Saturdays. You get it? Altering what he claims the Bible has said. Because the market will force you to do what is right. Okay. So that is also social issues can also have an impact on it, and then technological issues. The technology now, there's this what we call the disruptive technology. Blockchain is one where you hear now digitization moving to digitalization. Okay, and one of the things is that you could have, they did something to Nokia when Android came. All right, Nokia was moved from what? The system. Samsung came, iPhone was there. Now these are the 2 companies who are competing. Infinix, they are coming up, and other brands are also coming up, but predominantly it's more of Samsung and what? iPhone. Okay, they are the leading people in the market, but Nokia was the leader. This technology misplaced them or displaced them. Okay, and they have nothing to do.
BlackBerry is lost.
BlackBerry is also lost. Exactly. All right. When people they were still using text. They are gone. All right. So technology can, if you are not technologically aligned, or you are not that person who follows technology, and most of us do this. When you ask some of us, me, I'm not a social media guy. Really? You want to do business? You're not a social media guy, you're out. It's about time you take a digital marketing, course, maybe 2 weeks or 3 months to understand the space, what is happening. I recently sent one thing. Someone needed he needed a candidate with this C++ background, and they know I'm an IT expert. So they sent it to me, and they said the salary is 4,000. So what I did, I didn't do any other. I typed that and then put my number, salary 4,000, and then send it to one person. I have received over 200 applications, and it is still coming. That is the power of social media. And those who are now sending it, it's now that they have seen it, because I didn't put any deadline there. So if you are in the market with someone, and the person goes on YouTube, or goes on Facebook or Twitter, or that person goes on LinkedIn and then posts, I have over 4,000 followers in LinkedIn. All right. On Twitter, I used to have over 20,000. I think that account is closed or something. And I'm creating a new one because I was putting just motivational messages there. Can you imagine having about 20,000 people in a room, what it means?
Doc, it's like when his hand is up, also check.
Okay, yeah. Can you just imagine that? All right. Winnie, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. I want to just chip in a little thing about social media and pest analysis.
Okay.
Just to give a little example from my office. Okay. You know, it is widely believed in Ghana that business goes to people you know. So, for example, if you have something you want to do, you have to call either somebody you know, or so. It's been one of my principles to just look out for the good person, not necessarily somebody I know. And I realized that for the past year, anytime I'm looking for anything to purchase, anybody to do a work in my organization. Then I just go to Google and I'm like, borehole companies in Ghana. And then interestingly, you'll find just a few, meanwhile, there are a lot of them in the market, but they are not online. And like giving the example of this COVID crisis where everybody now is going online. If you're a business and you are not thinking along those lines, then it will be difficult for anybody to find you, because very soon if we are not going out, then you look for things that can come to you. And I think that the point you are making is very critical for managers or for creating your vision going forward, because it is becoming almost the first point of call when you need something, that you go online to see what is available there. And then if you are not satisfied, then you begin to talk to other people. That is what I just wanted to add. Thank you.
And I think that's a good contribution there. All right. If anyone has something to share, you can. That's a good contribution there. So please, if you don't have any social media, if all the handles get there, Twitter, LinkedIn, a number of people have had jobs through LinkedIn. I get job postings every day from LinkedIn. It's just that I don't want to move outside this country. All right. Some of these lecturing jobs, they want face-to-face. And they see some of the videos I have on YouTube, and they go through and they want me to, come over. I'm not willing to move, because we are in a global world. I should be able to sit here and teach. And once these things, you do them continuously, that is really going to help. All right. And then we have environmental. Let me see. I think I missed that one out when I was just a minute.
Yeah.
So we have the environmental part, that is the E, that talks about decline of raw materials, pollution of greenhouse emission. You know about the greenhouse emission. We depleting the ozone layer due to exhaust fumes and other things. Okay, manufacturing fumes that goes into the air. I think that there is a serious problem we are having now as a globe, and people. And let me tell you, a number of people like the US, China, the UK, the other planet Mars, they are settling there. I hear they are growing agri products there. So very soon they leave us here and go and stay there. The Earth has been predicted to become very hot in years to come. And people are resettling in other planets. They are making that place habitable. Whilst we are here also dealing with IMF issues. People have gone far. So promotion of positive business, ethics and sustainability, reduction of the carbon footprint. We have climate and weather issues, environmental legislation, geographical location. These are all environmental issues that you need to, and you can just take this model, listen all, and then put a scale on it. Listen, I'll give you the slides. Put a scale on it, right? And use it to develop if you're doing your environmental assessment. The legal has to do with the laws, the legislature, what they do and how it affects your business, consumer rights and laws, how you protect your labeling, safety standard, labor laws. You've employed people, you have not taken them through properly. The process, they are on probation after 6 months or 3 months, which the labor laws stipulates. You allow the people to work for about 1 year or 2 years, and they are still in. One day, some of these things will catch up with you. And then once you have this negative publication about your company, then that becomes an issue. One of the companies, I don't know whether it's Amazon, they were being penalized for using kits, okay, in their production process, which was very bad. One of the companies, and it became an issue. It was even indicated that they also pay their salaries are not very good and all that, which they had this bash, and it really affected their brand. So you want to look at it. So for the environmental assessment, you want to look at this, and this is all part of the planning aspect. So we are carving vision and mission, but we have to go through this process. The first one is for the SWOT analysis. The other one is for the PESTEL. In fact, the literature we are using didn't talk about PESTEL. I decided to add this. So you'll not be assessed on this in terms of exams, but that is just for knowledge. And then the other one has to deal with what? The Porter's 5 forces. This talks about you measuring the competitiveness, doing a competitive analysis of your organization. All right. And it talks about the forces, okay, that creates the rivalry in the business. And you should, if you do this assessment, you should be able to now position your company. So it talks about, first of all, the supplier power. Some suppliers are able to collude. If they are few, they collude and then they do some sort of price hike. Okay, they raise the prices and they make sure that you're unable, because they are the only suppliers in the system. Okay. At a point in time, I was told, I think it's something that happened. NTN and the telcos had to come together to do some sort of manage or massage their pricing because they are just few in the system. And you remember Glow wanted to come into the system, and then I think that what they did to them, they've never survived up to now. Glow was coming, fiber through the sea, and blah, blah, blah. We thought that all was, I don't even know if they exist. Okay. So sometimes
Dog, they are there.
They are there.
They are there.
I don't know who is here who uses Glow. Anybody here?
I use Glow. I just bought the SIM recently.
I use Glow, but Airtel has just bought them.
Airtel has just bought Glow?
Yes, Airtel has bought Glow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My goodness. Wow. They just bought Glow. We've not seen them.
It's on the quiet. So if now you're looking for their cards, you won't get, but you can load with Airtel cards as well.
Oh, okay. That one I'm not aware. I'm only aware that it's cheaper to use Glow.
But hey, it was all about strategy. They failed big time. They were coming in during Kufuor's time, if you remember. The Ghana at 40 or so. I mean, they gave Ghana some money. I mean, you saw their adverts. They put up a whole, rented a whole building, had the whole staff in place when they had not started operation. Had high expectations, only to find out that the market dynamics was. And it was I'm told that it was a war that was waged against them. Okay, because if they were having their own, Adenuga also was having a fiber laid from Nigeria to US, and the same thing laid from Nigeria to Ghana, then it will, without any kind of cooperation with other telecos to even do this, that he could do this himself, it means that the guy has money. But you see, it was not all about money. And the fact of the matter is that strategy failed. The strategy failed. And that was big time. And they are only in the Nigeria market. They could not enter into the Ghanaian market. Okay, and sadly, they've been bought. So suppliers can wage war. They can do that. If they start doing that, what happens is that, because there are few in the system, that makes the price of their product and services go up. It decreases the buyer power. All right, because the buyers do not have options now. There are few substitutes in the system. So they don't have options. And once you don't have options, you'll be tied to it. And because these guys are very powerful, they are threats to the entry level. The Glow came, they are gone. the stakes are very high. The capital you need to enter into the market is very high. All right. And then it is not easy even getting the license. So it's as if there's no entry. I mean, which company has tried to, even with the telcos outsourcing their infrastructure to American Towers and others, how well have some of these companies tried to enter into the market as well telcos? They dare not. So that's what they dare not. Okay, so supplier power, when it is high, it is going to reduce the substitutes in the system. That is going to raise, prices. Buyer power will reduce. Entry level into the market by other suppliers will also reduce. But when there are more suppliers, what happens? There are more substitutes. Buyers have the power to switch, especially when the switching cost is not too much. They can switch because there are more substitutes. And since the suppliers are many, and if the cap or the capital injection to enter into this business is not too high, then there will be that, free entry. And once there's free entry, there can be also free exit because there are more players in the industry. So you can exit. So you can look at this. You are coming up with a strategy. You can look at this and see where you position your company. If there are, 4 or 5 suppliers of the company, of your product, are you the 6th or the 7th one, or the 5th one? If you are, look at their market share. Okay, what is the price at which they are selling this product? You need to ask yourself these questions. What are the options for customers when they are buying? Are there any regulation that prohibits or prevent people from entering? What is the cost of capital in entering this market? You need to ask yourself. Because when you do that, then you can position yourself very well and you can enter, then you know the rivalry in the market. So these interactions I'm talking about creates the competitive rivalry. Because at one end, there's something happening and it's affecting all the other players in the industry. Does it make sense? So yeah, that is about it. And I don't want you to see this from the, and that's why I've given these, when it comes to competitive rivalry, I've given the indicators. See, what I've done, you can just pick it, right? And develop your strategic plan straight away, okay? Because you have the indicators there. You can do that. And that's actually what I do with my consultancy firm. And I had to just, I'm giving this thing out for the practical aspect for you to appreciate. Okay, so now we've talked about the planning aspect, the POLC, okay, the planning, organizing, and the leadership and control. So we've dealt with the planning, where we dealt with the vision, the vision and the mission aspect. And there is also the other aspects. When you come after the mission, you come to the goals of the organization and the objectives, and then you come to that other level where you talk about the strategies. Okay, I will show you next week when we break and we come back. I will show you a typical plan and how these things are cascaded. Okay, an example for you to appreciate, some of these things. And I said that from this, from the mission, you come to goals. But what are goals? Goals are, objectives stated in what? Qualitative terms. All right. Qualitative terms means that you are looking at, the objective in its broad spectrum. Okay. Whilst the real objectives is looking at what? Using the SMART, model to set what the objective. The SMART, as we have known, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timeline. That SMART model, using it to define what an objective is. A goal is the qualitative aspect, where you are looking at the qualitative aspect of it. So in strategy, most times, I don't like setting goals. I move from the mission right to the objectives, all right, straight away. There are other people who like setting goals, and then out of the goals, they get the objective. I think that's a long something, I hit the objectives right, and I have my strategies, and then I have my timelines, my targets, and then now see how I can also use the KPIs, translate that into KPIs, and make sure it works. Okay, so I mean that's about the planning and then aspect where you have the mission, vision, the goals and the objectives. And I'm going to show you an example when we come back. So the next thing is about, now let me pause here if you have any question to ask. I think there's too much literature that I've given you now. Any question?
Yeah, Doug.
Yeah.
Mine is not necessarily a question, but it's a concern, and that is why taking this program for me is very important, because I realize that I don't know. I shudder to think that Ghanaian businesses don't do all these things, the SWOT analysis and the postal analysis, because our products seldomly get outside Accra or outside Ghana, even to other African countries. Sometimes even the names we give to products means something completely different in another country. And like you're giving the example of UAE and what is acceptable and what is not. You wonder whether Ghanaian businesses, no matter how small it is, whether we do all of these. And I really don't know. Sometimes it worries me. Is it because it is not part of our basic education? I don't know how you can help me with that, really.
Now that's one. There's a simple answer to that. We like copy and paste, right? And most of us would want to see what others are doing, and thus we replicate it. And benchmarking is good, but you really need to know what the person, what came to his mind to have, I mean, taking that route, that path that person took. So because we are copy and paste, we get in without any vision. Can you imagine sometimes when someone wants a loan, he says that, Doc, I mean, I need a strategic plan for a loan. And I ask a question, for a loan means that when you get the money, you're going to do something else. the person says that, you know, I mean, I have a different business for this money, but, you know, I need to present something. And what I do tell them is that you are not just being dishonest, but you are shooting yourself in the foot. Because most times, and the banks give money to people, and they even use it for funeral. They use it for funeral. So they go in for the money. And what we forget is that in business, if you have a good product, if it's a product that you've taken your time to really research into, it takes a longer period for the product to begin to even fall. Sometimes you see the product life cycle, it becomes very difficult for the product to fall. Let me give you an example. You know Guardian soap? You know Guardian soap?
Yeah, yes.
Do you know it's still in the system?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
The carbolic soap, the red one.
Exactly. It's still in the system.
Yes. Mm.
There's no advert about Guardian soap, but they know where to get them.
Yes.
All right. That was a carefully, even Live Boy. You remember Live Boy? Live Boy didn't get that prominence by Guardian. Okay. Because those guys who came and then came up with this new product and another product of then Lever Brothers or something, that did not stand to the test of time. In fact, they had to use some of their products to give other ones competition just to face it off. but Guardian soap stood to the test of time. You know, Club Beer. Club Beer is still in the system. Do you get it? Yes. Yeah. But talk about Golda and Star. You see the competitiveness? Okay. Look at Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Okay. So we can give a number of examples, but you see, it's good that you are doing this. My principle has been that if the thing has to be done, it has to be done well. If you can't do it, don't start. Do you get what I'm saying? What is the sense in getting to, I mean, these kind of environment? You just copy something because you think that, and most people get into business, sorry to say, just because of the money. So they do calculation. When I sell this number of this, and this is how much I'm going to get. And when I sell this, this is how much I'm going to get. There's nothing related to how much I'm going to pay employees. There's nothing related to how I'm going to pay tax to the government. He has done the maths and he knows how much he's making. Finito. He's done. Okay. But businesses cannot be run this way. Okay. So you are getting this knowledge as managers. And you know what should go into planning. What should go into planning. And you need to do this carefully. There's no rush in doing this. You need to take your time and do that. When I was creating my brand, I was branding myself as a consultant. There were a number of things I had to do. Okay. And I needed to do that to come out with the brand I have now. It was very, very important. Because there's no lazy way of getting this to this level. No, you cannot. So as managers, you need to take these things very serious. The other concept, and I'll talk about this and then we'll break for just a few minutes and then come back. We are supposed to close at 8, but we'll not close at 8. All right. So the other principle is about organizing. Now, the principle of organizing really talks about structures. Okay. And that is what most businesses fail to do. In fact, most Ghanaian businesses do not have structures. Even if they have the structures, they are just there just to show that there's a structure. There is no span of control. There is no, delegation of, authority. Nothing happens. Okay. And once it is this way, that is going to hurt the business. Barclays Bank was a family business. Standard Chartered was a family business. It has been there for over 100 years. The structures are in place. Some Ghanaian banks started and they are nowhere to be found. Do you get it? And it's all had to do with structures. So people rely on structures and processes that clearly define their roles and responsibilities. Clearly definition of what roles and responsibilities. Most of you in your organization, you don't even have job description. The job description was written by somebody. And then the job description was written. And after it was written, that was all. They gave it to you. And there's no monitoring to see whether you are doing what you are supposed to. Clear roles and responsibilities. So organizations, however, are made up of people, and managers need to address the human element as they design what the structures and processes to help guide the employees. So, for instance, if you pick in the framework of the POLC, if you pick products, we are looking at the departments. The department are responsible for manufacturing or of what? Specific products. That particular department. If you pick a particular product, if you are in a whole factory and you pick a particular department, you know that this is specifically what they do. You're also looking at what geographic issues that has to do with the location of those defined departments. If it's a global company, they could have one department in Ghana. I mean, this cousins, that Imperial something, they used to be in Ghana here. I mean, I think they collapsed, the business was collapsed, and they moved it to Nigeria. All right. But they were doing most of the manufacturing here. They've laid the workers off and all that. So it's important we know the geographic location of what the department. If it's within a confined area, that's fine. But you can have departments scattered across. And then you also want to look at customer, the different types of customers. I mean, define what the department. All right, the different type of customers you have, because the department are producing specific products and services, all right, to specific what customers, target group. So that also defines what the department. And functional, we are looking at areas of speciality are divided into what departments. Okay, so this is probably the most familiar type of what departmentalization, where organizations are usually organized around what functions, such as finance, human resource, procurement, operation. So departments are being organized around functions, and that's what most of us do. But in other jurisdictions, the departmentalization is based on just products. Others just the location. Others based on what the customers need. And there's also the bits where this organization is based on the process. That is the steps of the production process makes up what the department. Okay, so you could have, for instance, like what is in the pot. If you go to Golden Jubilee, so those of you who know more about port operations, if you come to Ghana, there's a terminal called Golden Jubilee Terminal. There's a particular tax that they do. They divan cargo. Divan means that they remove it from the container, right? That's what they do. They could say that because that is what they specifically do and serve predominantly those who are into car dealing, then we can decide to design a department, say a department in charge of what? Dealing with what? Cars or divining of cars. Because that address that specific customer needs. It's based on what that particular service they deliver towards the customers. There could be that part that deals with what do you call it? The vessels when they arrive at the port. There could be a department there, and that's why we have the marine department. They deal with marine issues. So that's how it is done. Okay, so you can define it based on what? Product, geographic, customer base, and then also functional. The functional is what we use most of the time. And that's why we have most of the department. And we do that just copy and paste. People set up organization and they begin to set up department, HR department. Whilst they don't need the HR department. Okay, they don't really need the HR department at a point in time when they have started. Because the guy has gotten a contract, and the contract is to do what? Maybe bottle something. And he really needs some group of people to do that work and doesn't need any special skill. So immediately he gets the contract, he set up a whole HR department, put an HR manager there, put another staff there who is an HR officer, and then go to marketing. When already he has the job, it's a continuous job, right? So they set up all these functions when the people are do not actually have work to really do. Okay, and it's very important we we take this thing very serious. Functional roles which are created department that are created based on functional rules has been the order of the day. Okay, and you should allow these metrics to define. If you are doing based on product, based on geographic issues, based on customer, based on process, it's fine. But most of the time we do it based on functional. And there's something here I need to reach. It said a major part of organizing is departmentalization, which I talked about. And departmentalization is a process that divides work groups into areas. And these areas are divided into different departments, such as research and development, sales, production, and finance. And there are 5 categories of departmentalization, which we just talked about. Okay, the product, geographic, customer, functional, and process. Please note this one. There's a question. There will be a question on this. I've not seen the question, but I'm telling you there will be a question on this area. So just note this one down. Is it clear? So once departmentalization is defined, you realize that then there will be what we call the chain of command. And the chain of command comes from the hierarchy and how power flows, who to report to. All right. You have the line authority function in which employees have authorities over those immediately below them. And finally, there is what staff authority function in which employees have no authority but can offer advice to others. And then no matter which type of organizational authority is used, it is essential that managers delegate assignments so that they involve employees in the process. Okay, it means they have to do that. So in organizing, departmentalization is one key issue. And a question can come on that. The second one is the job design, which is also another key element. And now you are looking at improving morale and reducing what? Turnover. That's the main intent of the job design. And that it uses different rewards to increase satisfaction, such as job enlargement. When you are working and you are moving from your area to other areas, there are more jobs that are added to what you're doing, enlarging your scope. We have job simplification, job rotation, job enrichment. There are other sections that we'll talk about when we go deep into it. And that allows employees to help create their own job descriptions. Okay. So for instance, I have done a number of job enlargement and enrichment. Okay. So, and I used to, when I got into the university, I did accounting instead of IT, even though I've been doing IT all my life. And then moved into supply chain. And I came back for another second degree in IT. Okay. Now, where I work in GPHA, I ended up, because I did ISO for them, I ended up knowing every single process from the person who sweeps to the CEO, because we documented everything. Got the ISO 9001, 2008, then now 2015, and then also got the occupational health and safety and ISO 28001, that for information security. We had that one also. So I knew everything that I could work in any of the departments. So I had enlarged my scope, and I've also enriched my own area. I had enriched, there's more knowledge that has been added to it. Okay, so the idea of organizing, one, after the departmentalization, designing the organizational structure, making sure that the span of control, people know who to report to and all that. The second thing is to look at how to design the job. And in fact, what I mentioned as the ISO is part of the process of designing what the job. Well, after designing the job and letting them to know what to do, the ISO people will come and tell you that do what you say and say what you do. You document the processes so that people have a clear roadmap as to what to do. And then you are good to go. So we are saying that once you decide to design a specific job, it is important to explain the exact objectives and hence allow objective that employees need to achieve in their jobs. So let me take it. Once you decide to design a specific job, it is important to explain the exact objectives that employees need to achieve in their jobs, and hence allow them to organize their work how they wish, and as long as they meet what the objectives. So as to how the employee, based on the job description you've given to him, how he achieves the targets, it is for the employee to decide. Okay, you allow them to do that. I know most of you, when we have even given the employee the instructions or what to do, we still want to teach them how to do it, and which is not the best. Human beings are not much. If so, then you need to get robots to work for you. Okay. And the other one, the last element is designing and developing organizational processes. I've already highlighted that one. And we are saying that design organizational processes means putting it all together and use the design process to create organizational process. So once you've segmented the organization into based on those functions we talked about, based on product, geography, customer, function, process. Once it has been segmented into department based on this criteria, you may have used only one of them, all right? Maybe you use functional, that's what we know. So you have HR and all that. And then now you have done the job design. And in the job design, what you are actually doing is to use that to develop some sort of job description for the staff. And it's all about looking at job enlargement, looking at simplification, rotation, and enrichment. He's saying that the third one, so we have three in organizing, we have three things to look at: departmentalization, job design. The last one is designing and developing organizational processes. And we are saying with that, designing organizational process means putting it all together. And it uses the design process to create organizational process. So what you have created, which is the departmentalization, maybe you have created HR department, all right? You've gone to the job design. Having finished with that process, the next thing is to what? Design the organizational process, use the designing and developing organizational process format. And what you use that to do is to create organizational processes. And ISO sits right in this. ISO is International Organization of Standardization. I know when I said ISO, you might think it's International Standard Organization. That's how it is called anyway. International, it is not ISO as has been mentioned, okay? So in doing this, one of the first things you need to do, designing and developing organizational process, the first thing is to review objectives and plan. Objectives and plans. So the first thing is to determine the objectives and choose a plan to implement that will help reach those objectives. And what are the objectives? We talked about this here. We are saying that when you have designed the job, here it said once you design the job, design a specific job, it is important to explain the exact objective that employees need to achieve. And that is the objective is being explained here, that determine the objectives and choose a plan to implement that will help reach those objectives. And that is the review objective and plans. And the two, determine expectations. Recognize what tasks will need to be done in order to achieve the goals and objectives. So determine expectations. What needs to be done? Those specific tasks, we need to look at that. And then we create what? Department. Now build work units to focus, work activities. The department has been already the departmentalization has already been done. Now at this is a kind of now the design process itself. You have the sections. Now I say that you are building units focus on what? Work activities. And then the last one is you delegate what? Authority. So organizing processes, the first one is the departmentalization, which we talked about. The second one is the job design. And the third one is the designing and developing the organizational work process. And it's been indicated here that you pass through these four, channels: review, objective and plans, determine expectations, create department, and then you delegate authority. Please, this one too will come. Okay, so we'll end here. If you have any questions, you can ask. Not end here, we'll break here for some 20 minutes and then rejoin. You can go and freshen up and then come back, and then we take it out from there. If there's any question, please let me know.